What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's my team selection for Game Week 26. Double game week time. Triple captain is active. I'm going to talk through how the team is looking, thoughts on transfers, and all that good stuff. And I'll quickly show you how I did in Game Week 25 as well. So let's get into it. So Game Week 25 was pretty good for me. I scored 69 points, although it was quite a high-scoring week overall. So that wasn't enough to get me a green arrow. Now, I am recording this video straight after the Liverpool-Man City game. And what an ending to that game, by the way. I'll come on to that in a second. So I don't have my official rank, but it looks like I'm going to settle somewhere around 2,200 in the world. So I've dropped about 400 places, but still a really good position to be in overall. I have to talk about the transfers that I did consider last week, because Cole Palmer scoring a hat-trick. Obviously, there's some hindsight bias there, right? 2 of the goals were penalties. He's only scored 1 without penalties. But I did say early in the week on Monday's early thoughts video last week, Palmer and Timber, exact money. It just felt so right. And I was really keen on going the triple defence route. And in the end, I didn't go for Palmer. I got Mbeumo. And I didn't go for Timber. I went for Declan Rice. So basically, Mbeumo, Rice and Lewis Hall got me 13 points. Palmer got 20 on his own. Timber got 6. And then I sold Szoboszlai because I went for Rice instead. Now, with about 5 minutes to go of the game between Liverpool and Man City, I was massively regretting that. Szoboszlai was on like 13 points, but obviously at the end he gets that red card, which, by the way, I think is the correct decision, even though it came about in a weird way. Like, he did stop Haaland scoring a goal. It's a clear denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, so he did have to be sent off. So the punishment from selling him wasn't so bad in the end. And obviously, if I still had him, I wouldn't be able to use him in Game Week 26. But overall, just still such a killer. Like, triple defence was the differential route. I really liked him, but I really thought he would start. And Declan Rice, I just think, is a little bit overrated as a pick. Like, he got defensive contributions this week and the clean sheet point to finish on 5. That's his first return in 5 game weeks. Like, he's a good pick. I'm not trying to say that he's bad, but the triple defence I looked at all week, I'm not even sure why I didn't go there in the end. I think I was talking about being able to get Wirtz in Game Week 28. And obviously, I suspect deep down, the fact that Timber wasn't in training probably played on my mind a little bit, but I was so convinced he would start. Anyway, I'm 2,200 on in the world. I can't complain too much. I get that. But imagine if I'd gone for that massive differential in Cole Palmer. And he'll probably start on Tuesday now because he was subbed early. And he's definitely going to start against Burnley. So I've probably missed the boat on that one. Elsewhere, defensively, double up on Arsenal. Raya and Gabriel came in once again. Raya got a bonus point, I think it was, and finished on 7. Lewis Hall, 0-pointer. This is why I wanted to replace him with Timber. Joachim Andersen, 1-pointer. On my bench, it wasn't that much better. Senesi got 2. Van Dijk got 0 as well. I mean, Fernandes captain was great. I went against Haaland. Obviously, in the end, Haaland got the penalty towards the end of the game, so he finished higher than Fernandes. But I'm pretty happy with that decision. And look, I didn't go for Palmer, but I did bring in Mbeumo, and he scored as well for an 8-pointer. So it's not like a terrible week, right? I get it. 69 points is pretty good. It's only a small red arrow, and I'm in a good position going forward. But this is the problem with FPL. If you're not number 1, you're always thinking what could have been. Enzo Fernandez blank, probably a little bit unlucky. Should have had an assist in that game. I think it was Neto that messed up the header. Fernandes should also have had another assist, by the way, and he would have outscored Haaland. Like, right at the end of the game, he played a ball to Šeško, and I don't think Šeško realised how much time he had. So he went for the header. He could have chested it down and just shot and scored. But it is what it is. And then Elliot Anderson comes in with his 4-pointer in Defcons. And obviously Thiago got a penalty as well and finished on 5 points. So pretty good week. I'm going to try and stay positive. I think the Szoboszlai red card has helped with that. But what could have been? Palmer, massive differential. And I'm just not going to buy him now. I'm going to have to just go through without him. So, yeah. Decent game week 25. We've obviously got a double game week now in 26. Let's talk about that. So I've only got 1 free transfer this week, but I do have 2 million in the bank. So there is a bit of money there for an upgrade if I need to make one. Defensively, things look okay. So Van Dijk against Sunderland away, Senesi against Everton away as well. And then I've got the double up on Raya and Gabriel for their double game week against Brentford away and Wolves away. Now, the big talking points this week are really captaincy and whether to triple captain. Now, for captaincy, I'm definitely going to go for Gabriel. I don't really have any doubts about that. It's not going to be Raya. So the only other option for me is Declan Rice. I just think Gabriel has been Arsenal's best player for FPL all season. He's got to be captain. Can I see at least 1 clean sheet from these 2 games? Yes. We know he's good for Defcons as well. And of course, he's got the goal threat. So I'm definitely going to captain Gabriel. And at the moment, my triple captain is active. What percentage chance do I think that it stays active right up until the deadline? I'd say about 70%. There is a little bit of hesitation, for me at least, using it this week. I think the reason that I will end up keeping it on is I'm not 100% sure there's going to be a better time to use it. Now, I'll probably go into this in more detail on the final thoughts video on Tuesday, but essentially, the only other double game week which we can pretty much guarantee is game week 33. And as it stands, I'm probably not going to be able to play my bench boost before I wildcard. So if I wildcard 32, I'm probably going to want a bench boost in 33. So that takes the opportunity away to use the triple captain instead. Now, there might be another double game week, right? Man City, for example, if their game against Palace that's been postponed in 31 goes into 33, and then City reach the FA Cup semi-finals, they might well then have another game to rearrange. So it could go into 36. That could be Burnley away, Brentford at home, I think it is. And obviously that sounds great for Haaland triple captain, and I'd rather use it on him than Gabriel this week. But that double in 36 is not guaranteed. And also, if the league is over by that point and, you know, Man City are still in the Champions League or something like that, then their concentration might be on a different competition. So you might not even be able to guarantee 2 games from any City player, let alone Haaland. So I don't think it's essential that I use the triple captain this week, but I do want to use it on a double game week player. That's my worry. If I don't use it this week and there's not a good double later on, I've got to use it in a single game. You can get a big score in a single game. We've already seen that from Haaland already this season. I don't know if I want to risk that. So it is active, but I think because it's a defender, even though it's Gabriel, because it's a defender, there's still that little bit of hesitation. So I'd say I'm about 70% sure I'm going to keep it active. Otherwise, no transfers probably being made in my defence this week. I do have the money to go from Lewis Hall to Munoz, who looks great for Burnley at home, Wolves at home. Clean sheet potential in both games. We know how attacking he can be, and he's not terrible for defensive contributions either. Because they blank in 31, it's a definite transfer in, then back out, right? So it's 2 transfers to get him for Burnley at home, Wolves at home. Now, he's not terrible after that, but it is only Man United away, Spurs away, Leeds at home. Now, he's the most attacking defender in the game, so he could come away from those 3 games with returns, but I don't know if it's enough to use 2 transfers when I know I'm going to have to get rid of him later on. And also, if I bring him in, I've got to bench someone. Now, if I do haul to Munoz, obviously he's better than both Senesi and Van Dijk, but again, is it worth 2 transfers to bench one of those 2 players this week? I don't know if it is. Now, I could go 4 at the back and bench Thiago, who I've got up front against Arsenal at home, but I don't know. I'm in a bit of... I think because I've only got 1 transfer, I'm less likely to make a move like that. If I was sat here with 2 or 3, I'd probably use one on a luxury move like Munoz. But I just feel like my defence is okay. Even if they don't get clean sheets, there's potential for DEFCONs there. And obviously, Munoz could get a really big score against Burnley. I get that. But I think my plan for a while now has been get through to 31 with as many transfers as possible, put a good team out in the blank, and then have spare transfers later on for after you wildcard. I just think sometimes at the end of the season, you can do a few more interesting things when, you know, the title might be over and then another player might be getting played instead of whoever. There could be injuries and stuff like that. You just don't know at the end of the season when you're going to need those moves. And I think the team looks okay. If I had like a player I was having to play this week I really wasn't happy about, I'd be more interested to do it. So I'm not ruling out the Munoz transfer in, but as it stands, I don't think I'm going to do it. So apart from not owning Cole Palmer, my midfield does look pretty good this week. So I've got the double up on Man United against West Ham away with Brian Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes. And that fixture maybe doesn't look quite as good as it would have done a few weeks ago, because West Ham are playing well at the moment, but so are Man United, and their attack looks really good, and I've got the best 2 attackers, so I'm more than happy with them. There is some concern about Mbeumo, because there's a video going around on social media showing him limping as he walks out the stadium, but I follow a guy on Twitter called Sully Talks who has Man United info sometimes, and he's tweeted to say he thinks Mbeumo's fine. So I don't really see an issue there. I suspect he'll start again against West Ham, hopefully as the number 9, and unless Carrick rules him out, I'm just going to hold him. By the way, if there's a press conference for Carrick and he says Mbeumo's not available, I do have the money to go to Palmer. So that would be a consideration. I wouldn't really want to do that after not making the move last week. But if Mbeumo was definitely out, I would consider doing that as a 2-week punt. and then decide what to do with Palmer from game week 28 onwards. But I suspect Mbeumo will be fine, and for that reason, I will just hold him. And of course, I'm holding Bruno as well. Enzo Fernandez leads at home. It is a quick turnaround Saturday to Tuesday, but Enzo almost always starts, and he's got Burnley at home in 27, so no rush to get rid of him. Game week 28, I might sell him. Current plan is to go to Wirtz, but I'm open to going to someone else. Dango Utara, Sharda when he's back. There's lots of options, maybe even back to Szoboszlai, but Wirtz is the current plan, but we'll wait and see in game week 28. Rice completes the Arsenal triple up, so Brentford away, Wolves away. Do I wish I had the triple defence? Yes, but I'm not going to go into that all again. I still think Rice is a good pick, and there's every chance Rice will outscore Timber in the double anyway. So I'm not massively worried about owning him or anything like that. He's a good pick, and obviously he's going nowhere. When I sell him, I'm not quite sure yet. I think if I have to hold him right up until the blank in 31, I'm okay with that. But it might be that I get to 27, 28, 29, whenever it might be, and I look to move him on to someone more attacking. But for now, more than happy that he's in my team, or happy enough, I should say. And then Elliot Anderson, Wolves at home. Not an exciting pick, but he does seem to have this floor of at least 4 points. He often gets defensive contributions, and if he's going to get an attack and return, it's in a fixture like this. The thought has crossed my mind to do Anderson to Sarr, because I've got that 2 million in the bank, and as good as Anderson is as a value pick, I'd much rather have Sarr for Burnley at home, Wolves at home. Mateta wasn't in the squad for the game against Brighton. I'm pretty sure Sarr's going to be on penalties ahead of Strand Larsen. Even if he's not, he's got good open play goal threat anyway. And I've had a lot of questions about Palace the last couple of weeks. Like, is it even worth going there because of the players they've lost and stuff like that? I don't think it really matters. I think they're still a good team. And Burnley at home, Wolves at home is good. And if I've got to play Sarr against United away, Spurs away, and obviously Leeds at home in 30, that's okay. But it's the same conversation as with Munoz. Is it worth 2 transfers? Like, I look at that midfield. Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes, Enzo Fernandez, Rice, absolutely fine. So the only one I can even really justify selling is Anderson, and he's just a pretty good pick. Now, I am probably going to bench him a few times over the next few weeks once I get past 26, but then I can play 4 defenders. So it's just how important is getting Sarr in rather than playing a back 4. I think, am I more likely to bring in Sarr than Munoz? Any more likely, should I say? I'm not convinced. I just think Anderson's an okay pick, and I find it hard to justify getting rid of him, especially before he plays Wolves at home. I think I'd be more likely to do Hall to Munoz. Basically, I'm not ruling out getting Palace players, but I think I've been so set on the wildcard 32 strategy that I need to make sure I can manage 31 as easy as possible. And as it stands, I do have the transfers to bring a Palace player in and then get rid of them later and still get 11 players out in 31. But obviously, once injuries and stuff happen, which I'm not accounting for, that starts to get a little bit more trickier to manage. And also, it's not just about using all my transfers for 31 anyway. I would like to save some for later on in the season, as I've already mentioned. So, Hall to Munoz, Anderson to Sarr, they're not completely off the table, but I suspect I'm much more likely to roll than bring either of those two in. And then up front, it's Haaland against Fulham at home and Thiago against Arsenal at home. And I suspect the questions about whether or not to sell Haaland will probably dry up this week after the goal and assist against Liverpool. But to be honest, I never really had any plans to sell him myself anyway. I just don't need the money for anything. And in isolation, there is no forward better than him. Whatever you think about him being bad value, week to week, he's the forward that's most likely to go and get you a goal. And the fixtures are actually pretty good up until the blank in 31 now. Like, anyone that's got Gay or Semenyo or someone like that, they're definitely going to be keeping. And I'm going to hold on to Haaland. Obviously, I'm not going to captain him this week because of the double game week. But next week, when he's got Newcastle at home, he's definitely an option unless you're going to go for a Chelsea player against Burnley at home. So Haaland, for me, no consideration to sell him. Maybe I'll sell him in the blank, depending on how much money I'll lose, because I'll definitely want him back on my wildcard in 32. But until game week 31, I'm just going to keep him. That seems fairly simple. The City fixtures are pretty good. And then Thiago is obviously not very good this week because it's Arsenal at home, but I think he's better than my options on the bench. So Lewis Hall against Spurs away, don't expect a clean sheet there. And then Anderson against Man City away, definitely don't expect a clean sheet. So as it stands with the players I've got, I think I've got to start Thiago. And I just, like, if I haven't sold him at this point, I'm just not going to bother, right? There's no point in using 2 transfers to go for a 1 week punt because I know 100% I will want Thiago from 27 onwards. Like, you could make an argument that from 27 to 31, Thiago is the second best attacker to have along with Haaland. Ekitike is really good as well. Watkins is not a bad pick. João Pedro is doing really well. But because of the 90 minutes and penalties every single week, Thiago is just really good from 27 right up until 31, maybe even beyond as well. For those of you that have used your wild card, the fixtures for Brentford continue to be pretty good after game week 31 as well. So no plans to sell. I guess that's why I'm a little bit more likely to do Munoz rather than Sarr, because I'm happy to play Anderson. If I do Lewis Hall to Munoz, I could bench Thiago. But then I look at it and think, do I really want to bench Thiago instead of just benching Senesi? And then I go, well, do I really want to use a transfer to get to bench Senesi? Probably not. Obviously, Munoz is better. I get that. Obviously, Sarr is better than Anderson. But most of the season, I've played it kind of cautiously in terms of spending transfers, and I much prefer to put myself in a flexible position where I've got 2 or 3 later on. So I think I've got to roll, and that's probably what I'm going to do. So Gabriel captain, currently the triple captain is active. I think that will hold, but I'm not... I think I'm going to do it, but I'm not particularly happy with it. And I know it feels like I'm never happy with any decision I make. Maybe there's some truth in that. I think it's because he's a defender. And also, I'm still a bit gutted that I had the opportunity to captain Saka taken away because of the injury as well. Like, that's who I wanted to captain in 26 as a differential. I'm not sure I would have had it in me to go all the way with triple captain Saka, but I think I would have captained him had he been fit going into 26, because I would have been absolutely certain that Madueke would have played the FA Cup game. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Saka's injured, so no transfers planned apart from maybe Lewis Hall to Munoz and bench Thiago. Gabriel captain, Rice vice captain, and hopefully no transfers in 27 either. But obviously the deadline for that's a little while away. So the deadline this week is Tuesday. That is, what time is the deadline? 6 o'clock UK time. So the games kick off at 7:30. Then the weekend is FA Cup matches for the 4th round. And then the next weekend is game week 27. So you've got a bit of time between deadlines once you get past this Tuesday one. By the way, I've got 2 more videos planned before the deadline stream. So if there's any players you want me to talk about, any questions you've got, leave a comment below on this video. And as well as putting out a tweet asking for questions, I'll also check the comments of this video for stuff to include as well. So either in transfer tips or in final thoughts, I'll try and include as much as possible. So leave a comment below. If you enjoyed that, make sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. And I will catch you tomorrow for another video.